Boom!
Hi, this is Marieke Blokland from Studio Bloknote, and you are watching The Art of Raw. In today's video, I will show you how I make my signature colored gesso, those muted tones you often see in my art journal backgrounds, and how I store them for later use. It's super simple. You'll need a few basic acrylic paints and some white gesso. I prefer the cheap gesso for this. You'll definitely want black and burnt umber too. If you want warm tones, you will need something reddish. For cool tones, add a touch of blue. I store my gesso mixes in small squeeze bottles, which I buy from my local art supply store. But you can also reuse sturdy jars from, for example, skincare products. They're usually leak-proof and hey, it's a great way to recycle. Win-win. When mixing paint, it's best not to use a brush. It ruins the bristles over time. Normally, I would use a palette knife, but for this small batch, I'm using a brush for the demo. Now let me show you why I always tone down my colors with a bit of black and burnt umber. If I mix white gesso with a tiny bit of blue, I get a baby blue. Not bad, but too bright for my taste. So I add a little black and now it's a nice grey blue. It's still too cold and clean, so I mix in just a bit of burnt umber. That warms it up and makes it muted and earthy, just the way I like it. Now I will make a bigger batch. Start with a generous amount of white gesso. Add a tiny bit of color, a bit of black and a drop of burnt umber. Be careful, a little goes a long way. Mix everything thoroughly with a palette knife or spatula until the color is even. If it's still too light, adjust by adding a little more black or burnt umber. Next, I want to make a greenish clay tone. Same process, but this time I'm using a deep green instead of a blue. Keep mixing until you see no more streaks. Then I scoop the gesso into squeeze bottles with a spoon. It's a bit of a task, but those bottles make it super easy to use later. This chalky gesso paint is perfect as a base layer in your art journal. Because of the gesso, it dries matte and grippy. Great for layering, drawing or painting over it. If this video was helpful, give the video a thumbs up. And I will see you in the next episode of The Art of Raw.